and they just saw me drink. I promise this is not blood. It's V8 juice. I don't like to take vitamins, so I drink them instead. I always like to take a drink at the beginning because then I can see where, because it'll show that on the screen on YouTube, so I can kind of figure out where the delay is and everything like that. So
cool. And once we have everything set, do you want to start? There's a couple of new Rexy additions since last night that are in there, just like some status improvements.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit for those who are just joining us, what we're even doing this morning. So I'm Elizabeth Ann West with the Future Fiction Academy. This is Joseph. I will let you say your last name.
Yugoslavia.
With also Future Fiction Academy. He is our awesome, amazing developer of Rexy. So some of you have seen him in lab and everything like that, but this is the first time I think you've been on a live.
This is the first time on a live outside of a lab,
yeah. So this project, how did it kind of come to be? Because I know you kind of approached me with your vision on what we could build.
Yeah, I mean, the basic idea was I was just going to create like little snippets and tools for the members. So the idea was just kind of, okay, well, design something that maybe creates outlines or, does one particular function or another. And that eventually morphed into, I think, at first a prompt cookbook.
Yeah.
Right, where we wanted to be able to kind of store all those, and then it just kind of expanded and expanded. Got a name at some point, became a dinosaur. I don't know. I mean, things just spiraled in a good way.
Yeah, it was a good way.
Yeah.
I think you showed it to the founders, and then we started playing with it. And then once I had something that was the newer iteration, I think at the beginning of September, we went and showed it to our members, and our members just went gaga over it. And so it became Rexy, and everybody just kind of fell in love with it. So we're here this morning to show kind of the new stable version of Rexy, who launched this week to our Future Fiction Academy members. And what this software is it's eventually it'll probably be a suite of software, but anyway, this first part here is all about writing with AI for creatives. So it has all of the toolings that I think a writer really needs to have to work with AI. So there's not constant copying and pasting, constant going back and forth between a bunch of windows. It really allows you to get into a flow state with AI. And also it allows you to bring in your assets and your elements and your components of your prompts, your story elements, so that you can work with the AI. So I will go ahead and add it to the stage. If you want, did you want me to drive or did you want to drive?
No, I'd like you to drive, but
Okay.
I do want to kind of start by explaining what a lot of people who have used Rexy for a bit will notice kind of in the upper left-hand corner. So right now we have a status widget. And so as I am smoothing out a few of the rough edges, sometimes it's kind of hard to see whether or not Rexy is ready to go or not. And so what we're really looking for is, and you'll see as you go through your steps, is that eventually all of those red marks are going to be checked green.
Okay.
And it's going to be replaced with a little sign that'll say Rexy's ready. So that way, the basic message to everybody is, as soon as you see Rexy's ready, then you're ready to write. So you don't actually, sorry, go ahead.
So this first one means I'm not even logged into Teachable, right? Or there's a Teachable problem?
Yeah, well, I think there's not any sort of problems. This is kind of expected. I have to hide the widget at this point. It doesn't work kind of the way you would expect because it's not even logged in. But if you log in and then we look at it, you're going to get what we would expect it to look like.
Okay, so I'm logging in with my Teachable.
After logging is complete. So
okay.
Already you can see, so we're attached to our Notion superstructure. The key is in there. You're seeing your keys from OpenAI. So that's column kind of 1 and 2.
Yep.
And
this just means it's hooked up into Notion, but it doesn't have my project loaded.
Yeah. So the two things that we're missing is your project is not loaded and you don't have the auto write activated
turned on.
Yet.
Okay. So for those following along at home, or for members or just signing up with the Future Fiction Academy, basically this just showed that I'm logged in with Teachable, my API keys are loaded, and I'm connected to my Notion superstructure. And speaking about our Notion superstructure, does this link work? Like I can click on it?
Go ahead and give it a click. Yeah.
Fantastic. And it very quickly takes me to my October 6th, 7th Tiny Arms Big Dreams Rexy page, which is great. For those of you who are just joining us, there is a link in the description of the YouTube that gives you access to this information. You won't be able to click this button you'll see it, but you won't be able to access it yet. Once we're done with the lives this afternoon, I will strip out my API keys in my superstructure page, and then you can click on this and you can see basically the superstructure of what we did. So of the completions. So they won't have access to everything, but they'll get access to some of the stuff that we did this weekend. All right, so I'm logged in and I just need to pick a project. So let me go ahead and check the chat here on YouTube. Oh, good morning, Dominica. Hello, Artist Queen. Oh, we have Where Cynical Y Wolf in the house, Jude, Angie. I see you, Michelle, and Migs. Oh, fantastic. And Baby Shark. Oh, fantastic, Y Wolf. You're going to join the FFA. That's fantastic to hear. Oh, and good morning, Stacy. We have a lot of people in the house this morning. I know you can't see them quite yet, Joseph, but they're in the chat here on YouTube. Okay, so y'all know the drill. What are we doing this morning? So I promised a couple of people in, in the Discord this morning that I would go over personal prompts libraries, and also we'll talk a little bit more about working with that Mythomax. So I'd like to do some not safe for work material. I'm thinking maybe like serial killer or a thriller or something like that. And I also want to work on some literary fiction. So throw your ideas in the chat and we will pull those in so that you'll be part of the show today with what we're going to talk about. Oh, Stacy's already, I love the name Where Cynical Y Wolf. That's such a great name. Okay, so back to what we were doing over here.
There's also one other thing I wanted to mention.
Oh,
you're about
sure.
to go into the tabs. So notice that the tabs underneath the logo have changed. So I'm not 100% sure if we should keep this change or go back, but the idea was to kind of make things a little slimmer. There's a lot of people who have a little bit less screen space on their computers. So this idea would be that we could smush it a little bit and not have the edges clipping.
So I could change this smaller if I needed it to, or bigger based on my screen width.
Just kind of like some people have it a little bit smaller, and like right now, before when we had the full word spelled out on the bottom, some of those
it would run off.
The last one get kind of run off. Yeah,
I think it's fantastic. The only thing I would ask is if we hover over them, it would be nice if it popped up a tooltip just so that I know what they stand for.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that and see what we can do.
Because I get the little Mickey hand, so I'm assuming that we could probably add like a little tooltip. So this is the AI settings, and then I have my elements, which is what we call kind of our memory. This is how we handle our memory aspects of writing with AI. And I have to say, I think Rexy is head and shoulders advanced to a lot of the other AI tools that are out there in terms of allowing creatives to store their writing or like pieces of information that the AI needs to know. Because we have the S slots came first, right? That was the first thing you gave us.
Yeah, the S slots came out, and then as soon as the S slots were done, I think pretty soon people were like, "Oh, it'd be nice if we could save stuff to Notion."
That was me.
And I was just like, "No, that can't happen." So, and of course it did, but originally I didn't think that was going to be something. And then once we were able to save to Notion, suddenly it's like, well, now that we have stuff saved to Notion, we really like to be using this in our prompts. And then that eventually morphed. So that's the N slots that we have, where you can kind of put little chunks of information in there, or they get automatically pulled in for you.
And the Notion slot editor just takes you right to the ability to put your Notion page in here. And as long as your Notion page is connected to your dinosaur, which I'll show in a little bit, then it'll bring those pages in. And so you can use those as components to your prompt. You don't have to copy and paste when you're mega prompting.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, we also have our B slots.
We have our bang slots, which are brand new.
Yeah, and those are allowing us to also capture information from a specialized Notion database that comes with every project that's part of the superstructure, which I'm sure you'll kind of show in a little bit. But what's nice about that also is we can pull that information, push it into those boxes, use those within all of our prompts as we need to, and then also that can transfer over to the word banger. So
the word banger.
Yeah, because this can take a while to fill out. Like some people who have been, experienced with this, I think you did it once where you were like, okay, there's a lot of boxes here, right? Like
this is a lot of boxes.
21 boxes. And so with those B slots, there are ways to kind of automate it so those all populate for you on a magic.
All right. So let me go ahead back to my superstructure page and let's get a project going today. So we had Sunday Fun Day that was kind of already created on Saturday. So I guess we can use that one today. So this will be the project that we use today is Sunday Fun Day. So what I have to do is I come over to my projects tab here And it says my current project is Sunday Funday, but I can see that my project's not actually loaded thanks to now the status thing. So I need to actually click load project. Once I do that, I get the happy little check mark, and that means all the information from my Sunday Funday is loaded. And then this is the auto write, which I just turn on, and we'll go ahead and change this to YouTube 11 a.m. so that way we'll know. Please.
And then if you would also show on the top now, if you scroll back up, you're going to see that everything is loaded up. So now we just have a little Rexy's right now. You can click on it if you really want to see all the green check boxes, but at that point it's collapsed, taking up less space, and you're good to go.
If something goes red for whatever reason, will it take away Rexy is ready?
Yeah, so then what should happen is it'll expand again, and it'll show you where something is awry. So that way you can.
So let's try unchecking auto write. Yep. And want I get a red mark.
Yeah. Now, if you don't want auto write going, that's okay. Like you've got all the other things you can write. You can do what you want. And that's why I put a little warning symbol in there instead of just like a red X, because you can definitely still continue to use it, which is nice.
Right. Okay. So we have all of these cool things too. The Sunday Funday. Let's see what the chat has said of what we want to work on today. Okay, so in the chat we have a female-driven contained thriller. Dominica says, "Ooh, let's do a steamy PNR dark romance with werewolves who kill. Get both." Where Cynical Wolf says, "Writing with Claude, I made a few text files that I could easily upload to Claude. However, it ate most of my 4-hour quota." Yeah, we hear you on that. Harper says, "Good morning." We all know Harper very well. Use similar files to copy and paste. Yeah. So that methodology that you're talking about, Y-Wolf, we've had a couple of videos on that, using those. I think now it's called advanced data analysis or something. It's not called code interpreter anymore, but now you can upload those text files. Jen B says she feels like she has a feeling of achievement when it shows Rexy is ready, Joseph, just so you know. And Mig says the status box is awesome. And somebody else is saying an urban fantasy romantic slasher. So I think that PNR, let's see, that's paranormal romance for those not familiar. Saw the widgets last night. Let me read that again. A steamy paranormal romance, dark romance with werewolves who kill. Okay. So I think we're going to need Mythomax for that. All right, let's hop back into Rexy here. So what do you think, Joseph? Are you down for some werewolves who kill romance?
That's what I was really hoping for. So
that's what you woke up this morning for, right?
Yeah, that's like, we need some killer werewolves, but also know how to get it on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, we can put something in there that Claude will just not do.
Claude's like, no, thank you. Okay, so let me try to think a little bit about how we want to do this. You know what? In my experience, Mythomax does not actually know how to write an outline. So let me show that real fast. So if I was actually to go to WordBanger, which I'm in, and I go to AI, we talk to our students about joining OpenRouter, for example. So OpenRouter AI allows you to get access to a lot of not safe for work models, and they're fantastic. But if I come down here to Mythomax, let's see here. It's Griff Mythomax 13B. Let me bring my temperature down to 0.7 because I really wanted to listen to my prompt here. Temperature controls kind of the randomness, how much it has to listen to your prompt versus it can go crazy. And we're not going to mess with the top P or the repetition or anything like that. The maximum length is fine, although it actually can do a lot more now, right? Or no, it can do about 1,000 words.
Yeah, I think. Mythomax is good. So the majority of the OpenRouter models that are not safe for work have been tuned for smaller responses, which was why WordBanger was birthed out, to be able to stitch a bunch of those smaller ones together. But then recently they kind of expanded Mythomax, so that one you can get a decent number of words back from it. It kind of almost reminds me of Turbo, in terms of how much output you can get.
Okay, so I have a very simple prompt here. Write a 15-scene outline for a dark paranormal romance novella that involves werewolves, sex, and murder. Everybody good with that? Everybody like that prompt? Okay. And so what I'm going to do with Mythomax with Word Banger is it's going to parse this over, and I'm just going to click Let's Bang. And I have a feeling it's actually not going to write me an outline. It usually cannot write an outline very well.
Yeah. Give it one more click. It looked like it.
Okay, there we go. I've got the LLM called initiated. Oh, okay. Well, I am wrong. Just a few weeks ago when we were trying to get it to write outlines, it could not. So what I was going to show was a methodology of like writing a safe for work outline and then bringing that in as an example and saying, here's an example of an outline. Now rewrite this outline so it's sex, murder, and werewolves. Okay, so let's see what we get here. We got 15 scenes, so that's a check. It did that. Let's go ahead and validate this outline. The story begins with a young woman, Lily, waking up in a cold sweat from a nightmare. Okay, take a drink. It said Lily, not because anytime it says Lily or Jake.
So, question for you: what made you decide to use Wordbanger versus, let's say, Prompter for this one?
Because I didn't have when we wrote those prompts. We haven't finalized the prompt library, so to speak, as much, and so I wasn't sure if I had a prompt ready to go that was, just this, and then I would also have to show all of the prompting and everything.
That is true, and this is much quicker. Yeah,
it is much quicker when we're demoing and everything like that. For those who don't know, don't worry, it's not going to go anywhere. We do offer a library, and the library has a bunch of different prompts, and so I would have had to jump into an outlining one. Which it's creating a 9-out structure with your things, or an act structure from ideas. Bring your ideas and how many acts you want to get an outline. I knew we were trying to go for just like something simple, so I didn't use the prompter this time. But we can. I mean, I can load this prompt. Wordbanger is not going to go anywhere. It doesn't delete it or anything. But just to be safe, I can go ahead and save it to my Notion. So we'll call this Wordbanger outline 15 scenes. And this was Mythomax, and we'll save it to Notion. And once I do that, it gives me a link to Notion. So this page is right here on my auto write. And I will go ahead and share this. And copy the link. The link. Oh my goodness, this morning. So we're here in Sunday, and this way I can give you guys this link right here so that you have the this is the 15 scene outline that Mythomax wrote, in case you want to follow along at home. Okay, so back to Rexy.
Yeah. Well, actually,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so I was looking at some of the comments last night. People were talking about various strategies in terms of learning, and one person said that they did really good. They would just like take what you did and then try to kind of mimic it, like more or less in real time. So that's definitely encouraging other people to do the same. Like if you've got access to that document, you can bring it in, you can push it through Rexy, and kind of get the same results, even if it's not the genre you're planning on writing in. Just because kind of once you get used to it, then you should be able to tweak it and kind of make it your own.
Yeah, and here is the prompt, just so for those who want to do that. Write a 15 scene outline. Now, there is actually something kind of interesting too. I want to bring this exact same prompt over into the prompter too, real fast. So if I'm in my library of prompts, and I think this is actually a good thing for me to make a good opportunity for me to show the personal prompt library. What do you think? Because I've shown the prompt library tons of times.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show the personal prompt library, and you'll see that I don't really have prompts there. So I need one for prompting. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come over into my superstructure, and we're going to click on personal prompt base. Now, there's not a whole lot to show here.
No, those are the two default that everybody gets.
Those are the two default ones to kind of show you an example of how this works. And what I find is helpful for me is to go ahead and look at the prompter when I'm doing this, just so that it helps me to understand what I'm building. So I see it's got that error again. Do I need to refresh it?
Well, I wouldn't do too much because that's a yellow one. Those are usually not.
Those aren't hazardous. Oh,
usually not.
It still really doesn't like it.
That one looked. Let me see. Let me jump into. I'm going to go into Rexy. I want to see if I see the same thing that you're seeing right now. Let's go in.
Because even my trick to fix it doesn't work right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, so what I would do is let's go ahead and I refresh just from the main page. So like, just go to rexyfuturefiction.com, like as if you were starting from scratch.
Yeah, and the hard part about that error is that means I can't get to any functionality.
Let's see, and I'm seeing the same thing now. You know what happened? Because like literally right before you did that, I now it looks like you're in a happy place now. Like I literally spun up 3 more servers because I was like, oh, now I'm telling everybody to pound on Rexy, so let's let them pound on Rexy. So I think when I did that, I don't think it was liking it. So, but anyway, you seem to be in a good place now.
Okay.
And let me see if like I got the same thing, and now as of now, it's looking good for me. So I think we were doing something as they were spinning up, and that was causing our issues.
Okay.
So it's a good thing to do when you're going, presenting live and whatnot. So
yeah, and that's the thing. I do present the tool live with all of its warts because we are honest and realistic that our software is bleeding edge in terms of capability. So we worry about functionality, and sometimes we do run into these like, oh no, the menu crashed or whatever, and we're working on those bugs. Do not get me wrong, but we are a team of 1 developer and 5 authors, so it doesn't. My main focus is about being able to work with the AI. That's what I care about the most. Okay, personal prompt base here. So I'm going to click new to click a new prompt. And then I'm going to go ahead and click open so that I can open it up and start filling in these boxes for it. So let's say we want to do an outline prompt. If everyone's following along at home, let me make sure that I'm going to check in the chat. So it was a universal error. People were saying that they got that as well.
Yeah, that's good to know. And thank you folks, because lets me know. So when we're spinning it up or while they're spinning up, which takes a couple of minutes, it looks like that error happened. So it might be in the future. We'll have to figure out the way we want to mitigate that. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's temporary, so we're good to go.
We will be on that error. Thank you so much. Jen also says that she could not get Mythomax to write a outline either. So I wasn't crazy about that.
Yeah. I think with the new larger context limits that they expanded, I think once that happened, the model perhaps was a little bit more capable.
Yeah, and they may have done more training or something like that as well. Who knows? The categories here. So you have your main categories of let me back up here a second. So the way prompts are arranged is first is by cookbook. And so you have all of the presets here for cookbook, but you can make your own cookbook. And let me show you what that looks like. So let's say I'm doing a YouTube cookbook. So that I'm going to use YT for the first part of it. And then I want to put a number on it for because it's going to be plotting. So I know that that's the 400. So I can call it YouTube 400 plotting live. Let's say I'm doing that. I'm making a prompt that I plan to bring into a live. Now, if I just click out of it, I'm going to lose my work. You actually have to click create if you're creating a new cookbook. Once you create a new cookbook, now you can create a category that goes with that cookbook. It's important that the cookbook has to match the first part of it. So YouTube 400, before anything before the space has to be the prefix on your category. Am I correct there, Joseph?
Yeah, like so what I would say is like for your cookbook, whatever you had as the first part of your cookbook before that space, just like you mentioned, that's going to be the same as what you're going to have for the category.
Yep. So that's going to be the prefix. That's going to link that category to that cookbook. Now I need to be able to link prompts to the category. And so for that, we need a suffix after the hyphen. So you have to have a hyphen. And so I'm going to call this, let's go with 400. Actually, let me show you outline because you can use Word. You can use outline. So I'm going to use outline as the suffix there. So once I do that, I create that category. Now when I'm writing my prompt, in order to bring the prompt into that category, what you have to do is you have to put those two things together. So it's YouTube 400 hyphen outline, and then you have to have a decimal point because it's looking for what's in between the decimal or the period and the hyphen to match it to the category. So that's how our structure works. So I'm going to go outline and we're going to go PNR romance. So you can do it just like this, whatever makes sense for you for categorizing your prompts. We do offer a taxonomy that's numbers, but if numbers don't make sense to you, you can absolutely use words. And I wanted to show how that worked. I also give you guys a status. So I'm going to put this as a test because it's a new one. But I have, you know, if you have a prompt that basically breaks on you, you could flag it as needs edit so you could get to it. And if you've tested it a bunch and you know it's good, then you can also put final if you wanted to. You can change these as well. This is just internal for you. Instructions. So I'm going to say bring genre. What else did we do? And ideas and how many scenes you need to make an outline. Okay. And system prompt. So again, what we put here in system prompt is what's going to show up here in the system prompt box. So you know me, I love to do a persona. Oh, go ahead.
I would just say just two things I noticed with our handy dandy little status box since you signed in is that you need to reconnect to your project and also your auto write. So just something to, you know, for folks, you know, who
Always
are watching, like, yeah, like if you get knocked off, like for whatever reason, like this is also good to know, like, okay, we can kind of fix that up before you go back to writing anything. So that way you make sure you're saving everything that you're writing and not losing anything.
Perfect. And I'm just updating my auto writes here, YouTube 11 a.m.
Awesome. And then we should be Rexy's ready at the top, which we are. So I think you're good.
Okay. So my system prompt. Now, one thing that Steph has found out, it is that, how do we do it? It's cis, right? And it's 2 alligators. Is that right, Joseph?
Yeah, if that's the
llama
format, yeah.
Which Mythomax is built off of llama, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Mythomax is a llama. It's either alpaca format or llama format. So I'd have to take a look and see. But I think a lot of times they'll kind of recognize those.
You are a fantastic brainstormer, author assistant, and creative thinker. But that's just what I'm going to put. And then to close out the system, it looks like this, I believe. Nope, not like that. My goodness. New keyboard. So I got this new keyboard and it's messing with my head because I don't usually look at my fingers when I type, of course. But if I do, the buttons are like part where you press shift is on the bottom of the key versus the top of the key. It's messing with my head.
Is that a Windows keyboard that you're using on?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Yes, it has a Windows key, but you can co-opt it as your command key. Okay, so my user prompt. Now this is where, remember I said here, bring genres, ideas, and how many scenes you need to make an outline in my instructions. I like to use my instructions to kind of help me plan out the prompt, if you will. So it kind of like, it helps to explain what I need. So if I look for the variables, I have genre, I have ideas, and I have scenes. So let me jump to my content tokens. And let me find genre, ideas. Let's see here. Ideas should be in here somewhere.
And if you ever can start typing too.
Huh?
And you can start typing too.
You can, but if you ever can't find them or you just want them in to be alphabetical order, you can always click the 6 dots here and go to edit property. And the sort instead of manual can be alphabetical. And now everything is in alphabetical for your content tokens, which makes life a lot easier. Ideas. Nice. And then how many scenes, I have to know that that's a number. So I'm going to put number. So those are the 3 boxes. So when you create a content token here that says genre, what that's going to do is on your Rexy, in your prompt elements, it's going to give you a genre box over here. It's going to give you an ideas box over here, and it's going to give you a number box over here.
Yeah. Colors matter. So different colors will produce different sizes of boxes. So some colors will produce a text area box, which will be larger, and some will produce just a single line input as well.
Yep. So basically, some of these colors are older, and we didn't have the color coding thing. So if it's any color other than blue or red, it's going to be gray. It's going to act like gray. It's going to be neutral, which is a medium-sized box. A red box is the smallest box and a blue box is the bigger box. So, and just so you guys can see those box sizes, I'm actually going to, I'll make my ideas box over. My ideas here, a blue one. And to do that, you just highlight it and click the 3 dots and make it blue. And then for genre, I'll make that a gray one so you guys can see the sizes of the boxes here. I love this thing. I have never had something that like I could just build a database, and then it turns it into a user interface for me. Like, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no shit.
So the user prompt, I'm going to just paste in our prompt here that we had. So, and I can start to identify where the different variables would be. So this is where my number is going to be. And what I do is I do a squiggly brace or a curly brace and type in number. So it has to match whatever the content token says. Please keep them lowercase and one word. So yeah. write a number scene outline for this everybody would see is a genre. So we'll do this genre. And I'm already noticing that this has novella, and I'm going to keep that. So in my prompt up here, I'm going to put novella, just so I know that it's a novella. That involves werewolves, sex, and murder. Does everybody see how that would be my ideas? So I'll delete those out and put a curly brace and put ideas.
Yeah, and what's also neat about the tool too is for the tokens, you can create your own.
You can.
So for anybody out there, if you just don't see the word that you want, you can make your own word up and put it on in there as a token, and then it'll be there for later.
Yeah, it'll always be there for you. So we have all of this good. I'm going to go ahead and click active. And then down here, I can choose my defaults. What's wrong?
No, I was just going to say, so the provider looks like it's blank. And so it would be good to always kind of pop that in. So I think last night.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, so last night I noticed that. So I put in some code, so it shouldn't break. So it shouldn't default it to the OpenAI provider. But I think just as best practice, try to make sure that, all the stuff is filled in.
Right. So I'm going to go with Open Router because we want MythoMax. And then, so the model is not going to be this, and that's a problem because we don't have all the models loaded in here yet.
Yeah, we need all the models. And let me give you the exact thing to type. So if I go Open Router on my provider and I'm looking at the model, so it's going to be, okay, so MythoMax is GRYPHE.
Yep.
Then there's a slash, I think it's a forward slash. Yep. And then MythoMax, and then a hyphen, and then I think that's an L2, and then a hyphen, and then a 13B. This will be a good experiment because I don't think we've ever defaulted these before. So
and if I ever am curious what I need to put there, I can always come back to Rexy, and I can always go into my AI and go ahead and click Open Router and click MythoMax right here, and I can always just copy and paste this.
Yeah, that's probably the best. You probably should do that if you can, because I don't know if that's a capital I or an L.
And if I can't do it here,
I think sometimes you can do it.
We made this page easier. You can also always go to the Open Routing pricing table, and you can get it over here.
Right, which is on the config.
That's the easiest place to find it. That's in the super config. The personal prompt library, we forgot about. I'm going to close that out and actually paste it in so that way I know it's exact. Create one. Okay.
All right.
So it's good to go. Temperature you can choose, max length. So I'll bring my temperature down to 0.7 because I want it to be that one. We're not going to worry about frequency or presence penalty or anything like that. And the rest of these are optional. The prompt example, that's if you wanted to show like an example output for yourself. If you put an output in here, then it can help you when you're like going through your library and everything, and it'll show. So just so that you guys can see what this looks like when you load it, I'm going to put the prompt in there, that example prompt that we had. And then for the sample output, I'm actually going to go grab the output that we got right here. This is kind of wicked cool. And I'll put this in here. These are all optional. You do not have to do this. And once I've loaded that in there, we're good to go. Let me check the chat here and make sure we're not missing any questions or anything. Okay, just, ooh, that's really helpful. So if you have questions about personal prompt libraries. So once it's loaded in here, unfortunately, it's not going to just magically show up in Rexy. Remember, we always have to like clear our cache and get everything to preload.
Yeah, well, that's the best practice. Sometimes it might magically show up, but I still recommend that everybody takes your advice, clears the cache first before
Oh, it has it.
working with it. Yeah, so
there
load
is,
and we'll see if it works.
there is that, and I guess we lost in the preview somehow the examples and such.
I don't think was that in the preview before.
It was
like
supposed
actually,
to, like we just never had put anything in there.
yeah,
But
I think we should include it. Like,
yeah,
that would look cool. But I don't think we had it before. I think we just like, I just don't think it's there. But it can't be tomorrow.
So it'll we'll add that back in so that when you do the prompt preview, it'll have the instructions and it'll show you a sample prompt and then the output. That way it makes it easier. Oh, maybe I have to, nope. If I load the prompt, it's there.
Let's just see. Yeah. Look, you got your genre, you got your ideas, and then do you have your third box there? Looks like
and so here you guys can see the sizing of the boxes. Red is the size of this number box. Blue is the size of this idea box, and genre is the size of the gray box. If you need more room, though, you can always grab in the lower corner, and you can always make a box bigger or smaller. So you're not necessarily locked into it. It's just whatever the default is.
Yeah, and your settings look good. It looks like everything came over fine, but
everything came over.
I just want folks to know, just in case that doesn't happen. I'm not saying you should do this right now, but in the library, there's an option under the personal prompts, and
emergency.
this little emergency one. Just make it. That's the name I came up with. We can change it. But then there's a clear cache. So if anything weird is happening, don't click it if there's nothing weird going on. But if there's weird stuff going on, then clearing the cache is a good thing to do. And then after you do, you can kind of look at your Rexy status, make sure you're still ready. If not, if you have to load the project back up after clearing the cache, it'll tell you if you need to, and then you'll usually be good to go.
Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and go to the prompter. I'm going to go, I'm actually going to just, oops, wrong one. I don't want to paste that in. I'm going to paste the original prompt so I can just grab the same genres that we did. Dark romance. So we'll put that right here. We want werewolves, sex, and murder. So that's there. And then
just so you know what's happening too. So like as you're clicking off, it's kind of like kind of saving everything in the background. So if you don't hit enter or control enter, then it'll still save it when you click on the next box. But that's why you're getting that little bit of a pause there.
Oh, because otherwise it sometimes eats it.
Yeah, it used to eat it. Like, I don't know, the people who were around during early days of Rexy, you would like click over to a box somewhere else and then you would lose information, and it was kind of frustrating. So so now we're saving everything in the background every time you're moving from component to component. But sometimes there could be that little pause. So there's a little message that pops up that says, hit control enter or enter. And if you do that, then it'll save right there. When you click on the next box, you're good to go. But if you don't do that, it's fine. But you just might find that it takes a half a second before it's ready for you to start typing again.
So somebody, Michelle goes, T-Rex has to eat. Where's the goat? There's a goat? Nick asks a question.
Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. Where's the goat? Got it. Okay. Took me a second. Where's the goat? Where's the goat? Yeah. Love that scene. Miggs asks, would it be a good idea on the example text to delete the numbers, as we have found that there's a problem sometimes with numbers and other formatting coming from Notion? Yes, if that was part of the prompt, but in this case, it was just going to display it, Miggs. It wasn't going to be part of the prompt. It was just going to show me an example of what the prompt could output. So, but usually, yeah, I do make a recommendation when you're pulling from Notion and into Rexy and stuff like that, that we do take out those numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and click Process Griff Mythomax. Calling Open Router. Meet the protagonist, Lyra, a strong-willed and independent woman who works as a detective in a small town plagued by mysterious werewolf attacks. Establish the setting. Now, you'll notice that this is very different, all because we have the system prompt. We did not have the system prompt before when I was with Wordbanger. I didn't put that in there. Does everyone see how we're getting a much richer information here? Lyra and Lucius. We're not going to do that. That I can't. Double L's. That's just like terrible. The truth about Lucius. He's part of a secret society.
Does sound very werewolfy, though.
Yeah, totally. Along the way, the showdown. She's fallen in love with him. She chooses to stay with Lucius and become a werewolf herself. The transformation is intense and painful, but they emerge stronger and more powerful than ever. Now, fully transformed werewolves are reunited as lovers. Their passions for each other know no bounds, and they explore their newfound powers together. Short-lived. Targets of other supernatural creatures who seek to control them. So this is scene 11. That's what the XI is. Now there's witches and vampires? Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Then the ultimate betrayal. They're betrayed by their closest thing. So it wrote 805 words. And the novella ends with Lyra and Lucius standing together stronger than ever before. I don't know the dark romance elements of this, but I guess you could probably like put those in. But it did write us an outline. And you can see the completion right here. Introduction, Lyra's investigation, all of this. My auto write was turned on. So we do have right here in my auto write. Let's go to Sunday Fun Day. Right here is the outline from this was Mythomax with the prompt. So we'll go ahead and change this to personal prompt.
Yeah, and then the other thing to note too is that there's also kind of a shortcut, like as you click the like at the bottom of the completion. So
yeah, I was gonna show for that just 1 second because I don't want to lose my train of thought if you don't mind.
Yeah, no worries.
I just wanted to I try to make sure because I start going fast and then people lose it. This had the sys prompt Mythomax outline. And let me go ahead and get that prompt for them so that way they can add it to their personal prompt library if they want to. Dasha, no, my dog is going nuts as usual. So just so that you guys can see this in your personal prompt libraries, I'll grab the system for you and then I'll grab the user prompt. And then what I'll actually do is I will take a photo of this. Boop, 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 boop. So you can see all of the settings.
And then as soon as you strip out the, as soon as you strip out your API keys and make the superstructure available, then
they'll have it.
Kind of futz around in it, yeah.
The prompt is the system prompt, and then this thing, and then I'll put an image in here. Boop. The desktop. Yeah, that was the screenshot at 11:43 a.m. So that way you guys have all the information. This is on the Tiny Arms, Big Dreams Write-a-thon. The link is in your YouTube. So yeah, let's talk about some memory options here. So I'm on this quick edit completion. So I have this completion. And what are some of the things I can do, Joseph?
Well, you have a lot of options here. Like one thing you can do is you can move, like we can save it as well. So like you can make just direct adjustments to wording that you want on the spot, and then you can click to save that to Notion. So you can see that on the right. There's a couple of different options for where you want to save it. So we can put that in there.
If you want to save it to Notion, like you forgot to put your auto write on for whatever reason, you can save it to Notion here now. And you can also choose to save what the construction with the sample response was if you wanted to capture, because if you don't have your auto write on, it doesn't do the log. So coming back to my, actually I can just click this. Coming back to my superstructure page, I'll get used to that. It's kind of new. And I come to Sunday Fun Day. If I go to my log page, you'll see it actually logged exactly what it did right here for Lyra. This is another way that you guys can share prompts with each other. If you share your log pages with each other, you're basically giving someone the prompt of what you did. You won't have to do the system and the content, but it has the system and then user content. So your prompt part is this part. The role system content part is always in there for Mythomax. And maybe we'll do a lab on that about understanding our log information.
Yeah. And then, from within that box also I mean, you can jump in there and you can go straight to Word Banger. You can also start editing
Yeah, I
information in
can
the
go to
line
my line
editor.
editor, which I haven't actually shown anyone. This
Yep.
So by hopping, all I did, everyone, from prompter and the completion right here. I forgot what Notion writes. Oh, Notion writes are just the links that where it saves
Yeah,
the
it's
auto
just
log.
a convenience feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once I'm here in my completion, I can make changes here. I also can go to my line editor, and now it's in my editor. And the first thing I like to do is add line numbers. Adding the line numbers allows us to more like laser tool choose our prompting for what we want to change. And depending on the model that I'm choosing, like I could ask it to rewrite this entire, you do have an option for your system message here, and it has that information in there.
Yeah.
I could tell it to rewrite the entire thing, couldn't I?
I mean, you could. You probably
Yeah.
wouldn't use it in this format to do it. Like what I like to do in the line editor is pick out particular lines, like maybe 11 to 14, and you want to do something with it, then you can make those modifications. And what's kind of nice too is you can change the AI settings on the left, and then that'll take precedence. So like let's say we just go into use Turbo 16 or something like that. Because it seems like it's safe enough based on what we
Yeah, I'm
have
going
written
to
here.
actually use Mythomax because I'm going to say, please rewrite lines 1 through.
So, and this will be interesting because I haven't really tried it with Mythomax
I
on
haven't
the line
either.
editor because usually the language needs to get a little specific, and then different models want slightly different wording. So, um, it'll be interesting to see if Mythomax wants to follow our directions or if it decides to just kind of go off and do its own thing. If we pull Turbo, Turbo will definitely, with the wording style that you have right here, will probably go through and make those updates
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
let's see what it'll do. I'm saying please rewrite lines 1 through 4 to punch up elements. Punch up it may not understand. So let's say to enhance elements of dark romance, tragedy, and visceral language, because we're talking about the protagonist here and we're talking about the love interest. So let's go ahead and process the edit and see what it does. Never seen Mythomax. Yeah, and that's what I was afraid of. It's
Yeah.
so hard. The sun barely peaks. Lyra, a strong-willed independent, holds a dark underbelly of violence and supernatural activity. Among them is Lucius, a brooding and enigmatic werewolf who's being falsely accused of a series of brutal wolf attacks. So let's see if I can tell it to keep an outline format. Keep the
Yeah. And
format of an
and
outline.
and is the temperature and everything kind of what we would want it to be
Yeah,
for
it's at
editing,
point
you think?
0.7.
Okay.
And there we go. Now it's got
Ooh, look at
it's
you.
that we
That's
just had to say
awesome.
keep the format of an outline.
But I think this is a good point though that people realize the difference between getting a quality response and getting something that goes completely off the rails is sometimes a very minor modification to how things are worded out.
Exactly. I think also, and I've taught this before, we have been spoiled by the Claudes and the Chat
Mhm.
GPTs of the
Oh
world
yeah.
that we're so used to it kind of like reading our minds a little bit about what we want. Prompting before Chat GPT and prompting before Claude, you really had to put all that information in there. You had to say, keep the format and do this and do this and do this for a simple little task because they weren't the smartest models.
Yeah, because sometimes people see it, and they'll see you on here, and then you'll put something in the box, you'll press the button, and then it's like magic. You get this really long response, and they're like, but then when I try it, I can't do it. And usually, it's because it could be a difference in the model, or a difference in the words, or even the settings. So I think that's where practice comes in,
Yeah.
and as people get you play with it over and over until you get just the right wording for what you need, and then you're able to duplicate that over and over again.
Yep. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to change this out and I'm just going to paste in the new information. So it is a manual copy and paste when you're working with a line editor. But that way you could actually, you're running different things and you're finding what you like and you can take what you like and bring it into the final. I think you can also, yeah, you can also make this box longer too, so that way you're a little bit side by side here. Um, you know, this is going to be crazy,
Mhm.
Joseph, and I'm not sure if it's even possible, but just seeing it, would there
Uh-huh.
be any way to take this and put it below so that once it processes the edit, this thing gets pushed down.
So you want the edit above everything.
I'm trying to think. I
You
guess that's
could.
really
All I
only a
have to
thing
do.
for if you're working at the top, because if I'm scrolling down here, well, no, because if I'm scrolling here for 16, I would, like, if I'm scrolling in this box. Okay, yeah, it doesn't really matter, I guess. It's just,
I see what you want. So you want to basically be able to see what was written and kind of be able to line it up with what's on the left. So you're seeing the left and the right
closer
at the
to it.
same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There
think with a
might
tab we could probably do that. So if
Yeah,
like
there might be a way for us to move this into something, because you may not necessarily need it when you're pulling the information and things like that.
yeah, like the entry part could be the first tab on the right, and then if the second tab could be like the completion. So then when you
Mhm.
click on that, the completion would be starting at the top, and the other stuff would be
Oh my gosh, I
not
just
displayed.
realized another application for line editor.
What would that be?
So if I have my prompt done, I can put my prompt in here and I can use this to run a whole second version of whatever I was prompting. And then I basically have the two versions side by side.
Hmm, that's interesting. We'd have to try it out. I'd like to see that. But
Well,
the other tool I was going to say that we should show folks is like, let's say you're done with your edits, right? Like you definitely don't want all those weird line numbers in there.
oh
So we
yeah,
have
you
a
would just remove the line numbers.
yeah, our handy dandy function
Boop,
there.
and they're all
Boom.
out. I'll
Yeah.
show you what I mean, because it's already loaded. The system's already loaded here. So
Okay.
basically I grabbed that prompt that I had, the write the 15 scene outline. And when I click process edit, it's just going to write me a new outline based on the system message and the instructions.
Let's see what we get.
We got Lyra again and Lucius again. Now that's kind of freaky, because there was nothing in here that required it to be Lyra and Lucius.
Well, I think because what happens too is like when you talk about
Oh,
like
I
chat
remember
GPT.
now. I remember now. It's going to read whatever in this. This is actually a word banger. It's not a prompter.
True.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. That won't work, guys. Don't listen to what I said. I forgot about this. This is actually a word banger where it reads the system message, it reads the instructions, and then it reads what's in this box.
Right.
So it's basically rewriting the box
True.
here.
But if that's a new feature you think people would want, we can always put it in.
Let us know. What do you guys think? Do we want an editor that allows you to, like, actually, I guess it's a side by side or something where you can run the prompt, and so basically you can have two versions of it side by side if you want to. Seems like a very niche thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's just yeah, whatever would work for your
Yeah,
flow.
you may not need it. Oh, no, Tara says yes.
Okay. So Tara, you're gonna just have to let us know a little bit more about like kind of what you think the use case is. So that way when
Mhm.
we develop it, we can do it in a way that'll, work
Jen
for you.
says, I think that would be great. Oh, you know what the use case would be? I
Do
could
tell.
change the model. So I could run a prompt with one model. I could run another prompt, run that same prompt with a different model, and I would be able to compare the outputs side by side.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, this would be a fantastic teach. They're going nuts in the chat with it. Jen and Tara.
Okay.
Um,
Guess I gotta make a note here that I gotta build that. Okay, let me put that on my notion.
hopefully it'll be
Sounds good.
easy to build.
I mean, we
Michelle
do things
also
quickly.
said it would be cool to have a side by side and be able to select which parts you want to mesh with the original output.
Yeah, just kind of like pushing certain things in there. So that's an interesting idea.
And then if I could highlight, I'm going to ask for something else. When I highlight something, we'll have to think about that too. Because I think what I would really want is I would want to be able to highlight stuff and click send it to like a completion or something like that. I don't know. Definitely. I mean, we could definitely do things. You could kind of like copy and paste into your S1. Yes, that's what you'll do. So when we have this tooling, guys, you'll be able to like look at the two side by side, and you could highlight things, copy them. And if you have your elements panel open on the left side, you could save into your S1s. You could save them into your S slots, and then you could build out your S slots. You could put S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, and use that to build out a document. Migs is saying you could basically use it for kit bashing. Yes, you could.
I was thinking too.
Oh, we got some hearts. I don't know how that
Okay.
happened, but we got a heart. So this is great. All right. Well, we are coming up on the end of the hour here. There was one other thing you wanted to talk about. I'm sorry, I cut you off earlier.
I don't recall.
something about we take the numbers out. Oh, I remember now. Once you take the
Oh,
numbers out, and we've made some changes here, because I added to the top part. Now I can always save my edits to Notion.
mhm.
But is this also now my completion, or how do I save this to an S slot or anything like that?
So if you want to, oh, that's an interesting thing. So go ahead and on the S slot. So I don't think I have an S slot saver from the
Editor.
line editor, but it sounds like that's what we want, right?
Yeah.
So
Because I think if I come back over to my prompter, it's not. Let me look in the completion. Oh no, it just wrote it to the completion.
yeah, it will. So that updated. So yeah, I guess you can go from there, and then from here you can click on the little S
I don't think I
slots
have
on the
to
right.
because it's always the same. So this is now the current completion because
Mhm.
you're still working on it. So now I just go to my elements. The toggle here is completion or big bang box, and completion
Right.
is your line editor or your prompter. So if I just
Correct.
save it to S1, it literally
Yep.
just brought it all into S1.
Like magic.
Yeah, like magic. But I'm also going to save it to Notion. I save everything to Notion because if my Rexy crashes or something like that, or I lose internet,
Yep.
my S slots are gone. They're really just there for temporary use. So we'll call this edited outline Mythomax, and we'll save it to Notion. All right, we
Yep.
have done quite a bit today, and let me share this prompt here, or share the everything with the people, with the peeps who are watching. All right. I wanted to give a big thank you to Joseph for coming on today. Not many developers would.
Well, it's always fun too. And then we came up with some new features while we were on live, which is cool.
Yeah. And you guys are definitely getting to see kind of like firsthand, this is how our meetings go. He'll show me something and then I kind of iterate off of it. And I'm like, hey, can we have this? Can we have that? Can we do this? Can we do that? So
Yep.
this is
And then
actually kind of cool.
a new feature pops up. And talking about new features, so there AWS is a big one that's coming soon.
And you
So
have it working locally, right, on your machine?
yeah, I have it working locally. I have it working remotely. So I just got to get the streaming working on there, and then
Okay.
we can deploy it. The setup is definitely a bear to set up on AWS. So we've got a document that we're crafting together to help people create and insert all their AWS keys. But then once that's all done, then you'll be able to use Anthropic through AWS,
Or
use some of
Jurassic.
the other, or Jurassic. Eventually, they'll come out there. Titan is in
Titan.
preview, but when that comes out, it'll be available for everybody to play with too.
So are we thinking we'll deploy that to baby Rexy first, or we're just going to take it straight to regular Rexy since
I
it's
think it'll go straight to regular Rexy.
straight to
I
regular
mean,
Rexy? So that would be by this week.
yeah, yeah. You'll probably sometime this week you'll see it pop up. So the key is you don't as soon as we deploy the instructions, then I
Hmm.
would encourage everybody to go ahead and pop the information to those AWS keys that you guys might have noticed in your superstructures.
Yeah.
But
So,
there's a lot of steps, and we've captured each and every one of them, so you can just kind of go from top to bottom.
and we'll do some live trainings too. I'll make sure that we have some extra live trainings and things like that this week for people in the Discord. Maybe we'll do our Write With Me. We'll use our, I want to give a big thank you to Tara and them because they've all been doing kind of like Rexy sessions in the speaking channels on Discord. So,
Yeah, I saw that the other night. I was like, wow, there's a big crowd of people in Discord.
oh wow. I
Yeah,
stayed
and then
away purposely, but because I wanted to give people space to kind of figure things out. And I know sometimes when I'm in the space, it's like, oh, Elizabeth's here. And so I don't want it to be all about me. I want people to be able to work together. So all right. Well, thank you so much for this hour. We did a lot this hour. I love Rexy. I'm so grateful for you, sir. I am grateful that you hunted me down in DMs and was like, hey, can I build you a prompting tool? And I was like, I'm just getting my school going. I don't know that we need one of those. So you did a really good thing in convincing me that we needed one of those. And now we have Rexy, and he's helping a lot of authors. A lot of the people, if you tell us in the chat how many books you've gotten finished with Rexy already, since you've had him for about a month now, they'll let us know. And let me just check the chat again real fast. Fun, 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 amazing and hilarious. So they loved it. You got about 6 messages here that's saying, Joseph, you're the best.
oh, cool. So, and
Lots of
we have
thank yous.
lots of new stuff too that we haven't talked about. That's also in the pipeline you know, that
I
we're
know.
gonna
I
dish
mentioned
out.
like a suite of tools, and then
Like you almost, yeah, like I heard you almost like give
I
away
did
some of
not.
the.
I did not disclose. I
Well,
did not.
not that it's top secret per se, but
No.
yeah, like we're gonna definitely be giving you some cool stuff.
Yeah, and they're all going to be dinosaur themed. We've decided.
Yes, yeah. Well, it has to be.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you at 1 o'clock, and the illustrious Stephanie Pajonas will be joining me. And also check the Discord because I did put a link there. Do we have any brave souls who are going to join at the 3 o'clock hour? You'll actually be able to be on camera here like Joseph is, and we can talk and we can jam on Rexy together. So, all right. I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you guys in an hour again.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.